Well, hello everyone. It is Kathryn Porritt from Business Bravery, and today I'm very excited to welcome one of my amazing clients and someone who I've got to know really well over the last few months, and I've massive admiration for. This lady is on fire. She has already created extraordinary impact in the world with her previous businesses and now is here to serve incredible female entrepreneurs and professionals to help them really achieve potent impact with their wealth, the wealth that they're creating in the world. And I could not be more excited to welcome Jackie Edwards today to talk about wealth and money and impact and all of the things that are so important that we as women generally just don't talk about. So welcome, Jackie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Fantastic. Well, how about we start with you telling us a little bit about your background? Because you've got credentials coming out your wazoo, but you've also created your own amazing businesses that have been really high impact. So can you take us a little bit through your journey?
Yeah, a little bit on my journey. So I come from a very small town in the middle of nowhere back in the US, and I was basically brought up to get good grades in school, be really good, go to good college, go to good university, do everything right, get a good job, and you're set for life, which is basically what I started off doing. So I got all my good grades. I went to university. I studied accountancy because I was like, business degree, you can always make money as in business. Studied accounting, got a job with one of the big four accounting firms straight out of university, and things were going just swimmingly. I was lucky enough to be transferred then to the London office. So from again, a small town office in the US, transferred over to London. And that's where things started to just get a little bit crazy. I got to London right at the time of like the credit crunch, big economic recession. And my group at the firm was like super highly paid consultants for, other companies. And that's right when companies stopped hiring super highly paid consultants. So the atmosphere at the office got really backstabby and horrible. And that's when I learned that boys' clubs still really exist in today's world. I just couldn't believe what was going on, where it was me and the other women in my team sitting around with no client work to do because all the men had all the work. And I mean, not only did I wasn't super huge fan of accounting, like wasn't really my scene. I was almost a bit well, I was terribly bored of it, and I got told I laughed too much, and basically I had too much fun for accounting. Um, so not only was I doing something I didn't like, but well, I was fighting for work that I didn't really enjoy doing, and I was spending more time in the bathroom crying because I couldn't get work. I was being looked over. We had talked to HR, and they just agreed, yeah, there's a problem, but nothing was going to be happening about it. And I wasn't the only girl in the bathroom crying. I finally figured, all right, that's enough. Like, I don't have to be here anymore. I'm going to go out and I'll find another accounting job. So I left, found another accounting job kind of out in the corporate world, which was great. The people were lovely. The atmosphere was relaxed. Everything was happy. But oh my God, I was still an accountant. And I just kept thinking, is this what I'm going to have to be doing for the rest of my life? And I decided no. Maybe I'll do this contracting thing. So this freelance accounting thing. Then I have that flexibility that everybody talks about. I can do a job for a little while, go off and travel, do whatever. And that worked really well for a couple of years. I worked with some really great clients. So my specialty was US accounting in the UK. That's amazing. So I worked with big multinational clients making millions and billions of dollars. And I traveled around the world and it was great. But I was still an accountant and I was still just looking forward to a future of, oh my God, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And then I started to experiment. And I was like, oh my gosh, there has to be other things out there. There must be more opportunities. And I love training courses. So I started to take training courses on like Forex trading and like network marketing and property investing and all the things until I really got a property investing business up and running. So went into property investing, got a business up to six figures within the first year. Really amazing. Then people started asking me, how did you do it? So I started coaching and training and teaching other people how to start real estate businesses. And basically my it just spiraled from there into, real estate coaching, into investment coaching, and just got bigger and bigger. So there it is in a nutshell.
Amazing, amazing. So that's up to now, and you've really kind of cracked the code as far as how to make money, how to create these businesses, how to kind of really find your purpose.
Yes.
And so when we met, you were at the stage where you were ready for your next step. And
Yeah.
so, do you mind telling us a little bit about your business now and what you're doing with this next iteration
Yes.
of the Jackie Edwards?
Yes. So I was, things were going along really well, but I started to feel like there was something missing. And like looking at the state of our world, like politics are crazy. We're in this crazy pandemic. There's so much misinformation and lies, and we're killing our kind of environment. Everything just feels like so big and so major. And I feel like I'm just one person. Like, how can I really make a difference in all of this? And I was starting to get kind of down about it. And my husband made a comment, something about well, all you need to do is, create an army that feels the same way as you do. And I was like, oh my gosh, if we get a whole bunch of women together that really want to make an impact and they want to use kind of their wealth and their knowledge and their passion to make that impact, then we can change the world. And it doesn't matter if, you're interested in politics and I'm interested in the environment and somebody else is interested in whatever they're interested in. But if we all come together and kind of share those ideas and share those strategies and just support each other, then we can totally make change in the world. So my goal now is to work with women who they've had success in business, but they just don't know what that next step is as to how they can invest their wealth to get really great returns on their investment. Because a lot of times we're taught that it's not sometimes it's even subconscious that oh women as women we're not very good with money and we should leave that to the experts and somebody else will be better able to handle our finances and our investments than we are, whereas I think no, we are the best people to make those really key decisions. And I want to make sure that we understand that we can invest in impactful investments. We can invest and focus our money in places where we want to make change, so we can make a really great return on our investment and make a difference in the world at the same time, as long as we're open to these ideas and open to these different ways of investing.
I so love that. I'm so on board with your business model and what you want to create here because for so many reasons, so many reasons. But I want to talk with you a little bit more about money and our perception of money, as well as the different types of investments that are available to not just women, but to men too,
Mhm.
men who want to make a great impact on the world and don't just want to follow that that traditional route. Like you were saying with your career, you started out good girl, follow the career. This is traditionally what you meant to do. It's exactly the same with investing. So I want to spend a bit of time talking about both. But if you don't mind, let's start with money. Money's a funny thing. I just am running into because of the work that we do, a lot of our clients will make more money in a snap, one offer than they've ever had before in their lives. And then they get this money in their bank account and they're like, oh, what do I do with this money? And they have these weird reactions.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it before. And I'm really interested in your take, having been on the journey, served so many women, help them with these money issues, I would call it, the perception of money. What's your take on that and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so my first I don't know if it's my take, but my first kind of word of advice is just to relax and just practice kind of having that money. You don't have to do anything with it straight away, because we're so often, I mean, we're not used to having this money. We're used to having to, we start off living kind of paycheck to paycheck, and we need to buy all of these things, and then we need bigger and better things, and then we think, oh, well, now I'm making more money, so I have to live the lifestyle. We get bigger and bigger things, and then we're thinking, oh my gosh, I have this money, maybe I should invest it. And then we give it all away to somebody to invest and it disappears. So I think first thing is just to get used to having that money, to be comfortable with that night, like that new bank balance that you've got, and just hold on to it for a little while and just, go admire it, be excited about it, look at it, open your bank account, be like, oh, look at me, I've actually got some money. Because it's okay. A lot of people think, well, I can't keep money in my bank account because, we're making like no interest really with inflation, it's losing value and all of these things. And you're in such a big hurry to get rid of it that you don't just spend that time having it and letting it really soak in and being that new person that has that kind of money. So that's my very first advice is don't make any snap decisions straight away. You don't have to. You can just hold it and be calm and sit with it. And it's starting that's going to be starting to be where your mindset is able to start to shift is just holding on to that money and not jumping in straight away to the next step. And then you can have time to think about what is your next step? What do you want to do with this money? Do you want to go and spend it on all the things, which is totally fine. You can totally buy a whole bunch of cool stuff, knowing that some more money will come in and that'll be fine. Or what kind of impact do you want to make in the world? What kind of legacy do you want to create? Are you ready to set up, funds for your children, for their education, and really start thinking through to what are your goals with this money? Because everybody's going to have a different strategy. Every financial advisor you go to is going to have, different advice to give you. So just like when you're starting in business and people are like, what's your purpose? What are your goals? You need to set that with your money as well and kind of set that intention of what are my goals? Where do I want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years with my money? And then start to build that bridge on how are you going to get there and what investments are right for you, for your current situation, for your current skills, the things you like to do, and just build it up from there.
Okay, that's magnificent. Okay, so there's both of those things are just like, oh, massive. So first thing, sit with the money and get used to the idea that it's okay to have it. It's a really big thing because I know your audience is really similar to mine, and we're not used to, as women, well, even as it doesn't, the human race, we're not used to celebrating the fact that we're successful. I think you and I have talked about this before. I think a lot of our friends in the US are probably better at this, but as Australians, as people from Britain, we're a bit more conservative about celebrating our success. And so that in and of itself, you wouldn't go on social media normally. It's not something you see a lot of people doing, going, I've had this success. You kind of internalize that. So the idea of actually sitting there and allowing yourself to be okay with that success is amazing. How have you celebrated that yourself in the past? What have you done with that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because it is something that you want to share with people, but it's in our society today, it's a hard thing to share with people because they don't understand and they think you're bragging when you say, oh, I've just had, 100,000 pounds come through, or I've just become a millionaire, or whatever it is. And it can feel really uncomfortable to have those conversations with people that are kind of like outside of that sphere. So my first thing I like to do is talk to a couple of my girlfriends to just say, how can I celebrate? Make sure I'm doing the right thing. Um, I do like to do a little bit of shopping, so I like to go out and buy a couple of things because it's always fun and you deserve it. Um, but it is for me a lot of being with that money and really spending the time acknowledging my journey and where I've come from. So looking back to where did I start from? How did those actions really lead me to my goal? How have I changed as a person to kind of become the person that has this money? And where what can I think it really is about kind of just taking that time because we so often don't take that time and just relax in between. Let's make it to the next jump. Let's go to the next level. Let's, hit the next sales target. It's about taking that time to just think about it.
Yeah, I love that so much. There's so much winning for winning's sake. And that
Yeah.
idea of just sitting and really enjoying that moment is incredible. You've started a Facebook group. This is
Yeah.
probably a really good time to talk a little bit about that. So you've started a private invitation only Facebook group where women can celebrate that
Yes.
success. Do you mind just talking about that for a moment, what you're
Yeah.
doing in there?
Yeah. So super excited about this because most of us, again, we don't have those friends or even family that we can really talk about this kind of stuff with comfortably. And I wanted to create a safe space for women to come and celebrate their big wins and celebrate the successes that they're having and be able to say, I just made $1 million, or I just made $100,000, or, my bank account, I've paid off all my debt. Now I've got all this money. I'm super excited, or I've just bought my dream home, or whatever it is that you're able to do. I want you to have a safe place to celebrate that. And then I also want to create a place where we're starting to think bigger about what impact we can create. So bringing that together with it and saying, all right, what are you doing with your wealth? What amazing ideas can we come up with to really change the world and create that legacy, so that we're kind of harnessing that wealth and we're harnessing our power that we've got to really make a difference in the world, and just bouncing all those ideas off of each other, celebrating with each other, and just having fun.
Yeah, I think it's so important because there aren't, for a lot of people, particularly right now in the middle of what we're going through with the extraordinary change in the world, there's a lot of people who are actually losing their businesses, who are in financial distress. So having a safe place that's very protected, very well monitored, and you're not going to get, pounced on or sold to, or, there's nothing except giving in it, I think is such an extraordinary gift that you're giving to the world. The other thing that I'm really interested in that you spoke about before was, okay, got the money in the bank, we're going to sit on it and we're going to celebrate it. But then comes this moment of, now how do I make the decision with what to do? And again, you and I have talked about this before. I'm your ideal client. I've been in the position of suddenly coming into money and making a lot of money through my businesses, and, then having to change my mindset and level up. And what I found a lot of the time, as I've thought about investments and where to put money and how to use it, is that a lot of the financial planners and investment strategists are men, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have great male friends, and I've got a fantastic hubby, and I've got, great son and an amazing father and all those things. But they don't look at investments the way that I want to look at. It's not just about what's the ROI financially for me. It's also about what impact does this have? What good can I do with this money? And there's got to be more. It's almost like you were saying again with your career. It's like, okay, I have to follow this pathway. You don't have to follow this pathway. There are a plethora of options out there, and it is about sorting out what your purpose is and then making some great decisions. So you've got a real process that you go through with this. Would you mind taking us through how you work with people and what your thoughts are on investment strategy and wealth management?
Oh, so many great points there. So I I call it building the bridge. So I like to kind of build the bridge from what's your current situation, where are you at right now? What are your skills? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? Like, what are all the things that are happening? And then, talking about what are your goals? Where do you want to be? What are your dreams over a couple different time periods? And then start building that bridge to get there. And it's looking at different unique opportunities that really fit with your skill sets and your lifestyle and your desires, because oftentimes when we think we have to start investing our money, we just instantly think of like stocks, and we think, oh, I need to figure out what the best stock is to buy right now, or get it. You'll talk to a financial advisor and they'll be like, all right, well, what's your level of risk that you like, and what time period you want, and we'll put you in one of these tracker funds and it'll do all the things, and then in 5 years or 10 years or whatever, we'll switch you to a lower risk and blah blah blah. And that can be great, and maybe there's a place for that, but when you're really looking to kind of make an impact and make a difference, you don't know what kind of companies are in these tracker funds. Like, maybe you're super environmentally conscious and all of a sudden, you've just put money into a tracker fund that just funds big oil and gas companies, and you don't even really know about it or think about it. And most brokers and financial advisors, They're just looking at, all right, what's the easy way? What is the thing that they're specialized in? They'll have a range of products that this is what they recommend to everybody. It doesn't matter what your background is or really too much about your goals. You just fit into one of these buckets, we'll plunk your money in there and away we go. And then maybe you look at your statement once a year, you're like, oh yeah, I made 4% interest. Oh, about 3% of it is in fees. So really I didn't make that much, but I'm investing in stocks and that's the thing we should do. Whereas if you sit back and think about, but what is my goal? Like, what do I really want to accomplish? Yeah, I want to make a great return on my investment, but can I do that by investing in things that I'm really passionate about and investing in things that I understand? So if you don't understand the stock market, why invest in it? You should only be investing in things that makes sense to you, that you can make decisions about. You should it's completely fine to have, financial advisors and have that power team of people that can give you advice, but at the end of the day you should be making these decisions and you should be able to make an intelligent decision about it. So if you don't understand the stock market, you don't have to like invest in it. There are so many different opportunities, and just because there's a certain, hot stock or a hot kind of industry doesn't mean you have to invest in it if that's not where your underlying knowledge is. So there was one, I was just talking random example. So like if you've built this company, making widgets, and that's what you know and you understand this whole process, why don't you can invest in that kind of general area, even if that's not the hot new area that everybody's talking about that's making all the money right now. You'll have that knowledge to be able to look at which companies are the ones to invest in, which areas in that market are going to be the hot areas, so that you can make those educated decisions. Or there's so many different options and I don't want to talk about them all, but it really is just linking in what are your skills, where are you at now, where do you want to go, and what's the most fun and interesting way to get there. Because I mean, I was just talking to a lady who's investing in wines. So she just said, oh, I bought 20,000 pounds worth of wine because I said, well, even if it all goes wrong, I love to drink wine, so I've always got that to go back on. But if you know a bunch about wine and you understand it, and you know the different, because this wouldn't be for me because I know nothing about wine, but then that could be a great investment for you and it would be fun. So you'd be interested in learning more about it, in tracking your investments, in making decisions on it and saying, oh no, how about we go with that vintage or whatever it is. My husband invests in whiskey because he loves whiskey. So he buys barrels of whiskey, and it's not like they're all sitting at your house. So they're in kind of secured warehouses and stuff. So there's all kinds of options. And then another one I really love is angel investing, because not only can you make a great return on your investment, but it gives you an opportunity to really make a difference in somebody's business, because it's not usually just you give them a bunch of money and away they go. They're often looking for kind of mentorship and people to really help and guide them and get in a little bit deeper. So if you've got a real passion for, companies that are making sustainable materials, or, doing things without, using child labor and stuff like that. So they want to pay fair wages, and you can really focus on companies that are doing that, and then get in there, invest in them, help them to grow their business, and make sure they're kind of making the impact that you want to make and getting a great return on your investment along the way. So it's just being really open to, there's so many different ideas and so many different ways, and you can find one or two or three that really fit in with what you want and where you're going in your journey.
I so love that advice. I so do, because we just all naturally go, okay, money in the bank, stock market, money in the bank, real estate. And
Yeah.
look, if you're into those things, awesome. Do absolutely
Yeah,
do them.
yeah,
But
exactly. I mean, if you love the stock market, then absolutely go for it. If you love real estate, I mean, I have no real estate, so I'm
yeah,
happy to invest in more of it, but it's not your thing, then you don't have to. There's so many opportunities out there.
yeah. And I mean, art. There's, you can invest in
Exactly.
art, you can invest in wine, you can invest in my, I mean, just a great example of this. My family's all sort of polo horsey people. And so oftentimes they'll invest in that, and they'll
Yeah,
invest in racehorses and blah, blah, blah. So it's where your passions are, it's what you know. I love that advice.
yeah,
There's such a big array of opportunity out there.
yeah. Because then you'll just be so much more interested in it. And when you're interested in something, you'll just pay a lot more attention. You'll be into the research. You'll be able to manage that investment so much better because you're excited about it. So you've got
Yeah.
so much more opportunity to make money of it other than just putting it in the stock market where you don't care. You just look at the report once a year and never touch it
Mm.
again. Whereas you can really have something that lights you up every day
And makes you money.
and
This
makes
is
you
the one,
money.
right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, it
It
doesn't
doesn't
have to
have to just be
be,
for fun. Yeah.
it can be the business of money, the business of investment.
Yeah.
This can be your other business
Yeah.
now. You're investing in things that make sense to you, that you love, and that you want to get to know more about and make more money out of it.
Exactly, exactly. So you're making a difference, you're having fun, and you're making money all at the same time. Like, what's not to love about that?
I love it so much. So, how do you invest your money? Where do your passions lie?
Good question. So I do like real estate. So we do invest in real estate here in the UK. We are also, I love animals. So we are in the process of building a farm and we will be investing in alpacas. My husband did a load of research. I really just like cuddly animals. He did a load of research on how you make a return on investment on alpacas, and I was like, all right, I'm in. We're also doing like other rare breed animals as well, which is a bit of an unusual investment, but super exciting. We're also all off grid, so we're doing a lot of kind of investing and looking into all that kind of technology. So we're solar panels and all the waves of future for that. We do have so my husband and I do a bit of investing together and a bit of it separately, um, just because we've all got different needs and different exciting things. Um, we have some investments in other companies, so there's some really cool stuff you can do in the UK to really help with tax situations, and a lot of people just dump money into wherever, almost like funds and stuff again. Whereas we're really taking the time to pick companies that we're interested in and we're excited about to be able to invest in them, give them a boost, and also get a really great tax benefit as well. My other big one is I like to invest in myself. And I think a lot of
Mm.
people forget about this one and investing in your own business. And sometimes, like, we can do that a little bit too much, but oftentimes, especially when we start thinking, I got to put money in the stock market, you're just investing in somebody else's company. You can oftentimes get a way bigger return on investment if you invest in yourself and invest in your own company and how you can, change that, grow that, and start adding kind of that purpose and that impact into your own company as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important that we do forget that, you're at the helm and you deserve that investment back as well, rather than just giving it to other people. I love that. I had never thought of it that way. But the another thing that I'm very interested in that you spoke about is angel investing. I'm a
Yeah.
big, big fan of this too. And it's a way where might sound a little bit scary, the concept of this, but it doesn't have to be at all. But this is where you can help up and coming people to really see their dreams come to fruition and kind of practice your skills and really give back and get that return on investment. Do you mind taking us a little bit through what that means and how you do that?
There's a lot of different ways to do that. So there's lots of companies out there that you can kind of join in that set up and help kind of match angel investors with other companies and kind of guide you through the process. So if and there's and they're in lots of different niches as well. So you can probably find one if this is really just getting started, find one of those companies that'll be able to kind of guide you in the right direction to get started with. And that way you'll be able to say, this is the type of impact I want to make. This is the type of companies I'm really interested. These are what my skills are, because there'll be companies out there that are looking for your particular skills. If you're really great at sales and marketing, or if you're really great at kind of the business analytics and the analysis side at the back, whatever it is you're good at, you'll be able to kind of find a company that needs not only your money but needs your skills as well. And kind of a bigger angel investing firm will be able to kind of help guide you in that really well. um, Alternatively, you can I really like to start looking out in my local community, so going to different networking meetings, start talking to people around us and see who's doing things that you're interested in and how can you help them and where can you get started. And that, it can be as simple as that, to kind of start in angel investing. It doesn't even have to be called angel investing. It could just be, kind of a mentorship investment scheme if you want to make it sound less scary than angel investing. But start talking to your local universities and what kind of incubator programs that they have for new entrepreneurs and people that are in their business school programs that want to start new businesses, and start thinking about how can we help them, how can we start giving back into those communities and building things up. I know Oxford, so I live near Oxford in the UK, and they have, I mean, Oxford University, and there's two universities, there's loads of universities in Oxford, and they have lots of really great incubator programs, especially in kind of like the technology side and the science side. So yeah, there's loads of opportunities to just get in there even at a smaller level and start small and start building your way up to how you can help people.
Yeah, I love that so much. What I would recommend, though, Jackie, is very similar to someone who would come to us to start a business or move, kind of morph into a personal brand and create their legacy business, which is what a lot of our clients do. The first thing that we do, the mistake that a lot of people make is jumping in and getting into branding without doing the foundation work first. And I would suggest that it's the same with your people, that you don't want to jump in and say, okay, angel investing is what I want to do,
Yeah.
without doing the work on yourself first and understanding your purpose. So
Yes.
how do you
That is
work
the
with
first
people like
step of
that?
pretty much everything. And that's how I work with my clients. It's so much about, it can feel like really overwhelming because a lot of my clients, I'm asking all of these questions and I'm trying to pull all this information on kind of like their background and their thoughts and their lifestyle. They're thinking, well, what does this have to do? I just want to, invest my money and get a return on investment. But it is so much about really figuring out where you're at and where you want to go to. What is your purpose? What is your passion? Where can you really make a difference? And where are you going to enjoy making that difference before you just jump into something that, maybe this sounds good, or somebody, the biggest thing is somebody tells you this is a good idea and you get swept away in that. And maybe it was a really good idea for them and it's a great investment for them, but it just doesn't fit with who you are and where you're going. And I mean, I've gotten caught in this too. I've been lucky enough to invest in two Ponzi schemes. So I've lost nearly $200,000 investing in Ponzi schemes. Super exciting.
Oh
So I've
no.
learned this lesson of not just saying, "Oh yes, that sounds like a great investment. Let's do it." It was a great investment until, I don't know, the new people didn't come in enough to pay my investment back. Um, so it really is important to not just say, "All right, that's going to give me an amazing return on my investment, and I'll make all my money back, and things are going to be great." Really figuring out what is going to make you excited, what's going to interest you, where can you make a difference, and then where can you kind of also make a really great return on investment. So doing that underlying work and making sure you really understand that investment as well, because it could sound great to jump into angel investing and you can really, somebody's like, you can really make a difference with this company, I can see that you've been really great at marketing, they need some help with marketing, so you jump in, and then you realize, well, it's not just marketing they need all these other skills. They haven't done anything else yet. So you coming in and helping with marketing before they've even figured out what their real product is and making it work, it's it's never going to work. You're not going to be able to add value. You're not going to be able to make that difference and help them in the way you want to help them. So being able to really understand how you can like do your due diligence on that company, on that investment, how you can understand all of the information you need. It does take some time to really dig into that and understand where you're at and how you can get there.
And I think it's also what you do is not just due diligence on,
Yeah.
the
No.
company and the investment and, that, like, helping people to really decide what they're, where to focus,
Yeah.
but more so the due diligence on yourself, because this is you're probably very good at running your business or professionally, you're good at that stuff, but then suddenly you've got to look at yourself in a really different way and go quite inward and decide on
Mhm.
your purpose and what does money really mean. So you run a blueprint,
Yeah.
um, offer. So you
Yeah.
work with women to really understand what it is that what they want. Can you take us through a little bit about how that works and how people can work with you to do that?
Yeah, oh, that's an exciting one. So this is where, I mean, we get loads of information, and I find that when women take the time to put together all of this information on, not just all of their finances and where their money is and what they have to invest and what they want to invest, but really looking into, their successes in the past. Where have they been happiest? Where have they really succeeded? Where have they struggled? What are their kind of weaknesses? And really looking deep into this, like this is a kind of a substantial exercise that I don't think we do enough. Like, this is something we should be doing every single year without fail, and most of us never do it. And so we start with really digging deep into that and understanding who we are. And usually there's a lot of ahas just within this, and just saying, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that, I felt that way about money, or that thought was in there, or I had, really succeeded with this, or that was my biggest weakness. I hadn't even thought about all of these things for ages. Or I didn't realize that, we had all these bank accounts over here that I never looked at, or, this retirement or pension fund that I haven't touched in 20 years. And doing that exercise to bring all of the information together. And then I take a look at that as well separately, and I go through it with kind of my third party kind of separate lenses on, so I can give you more of a outsider's overview of it and take a look and say, all right, well, I noticed that these things about you, did you notice that you have some of these thoughts, and this might be holding you back? So we can really dig into where your mindset might be holding you back from really getting to the next level of your investments, and where we can really leverage on what skills you've got. 'Cause so often we don't even know our own skills, and we don't identify the things that we do best. And I can say, oh, have you really thought about, this is something you look like you're really good at. Every kind of success that you've celebrated has had this running through it. Why don't we leverage that in your investing? And so then we'll have a really big conversation about, here's where you're at, here's where you're going, here's the things you're good at, here's some opportunities. Let's look into them and see how we can move forward with that.
I love that because a lot of the time it's you don't know what you don't know. Because if you've never invested before, you've never had this amount of money sitting in your bank account before, you don't know what to do with it. So you can dig
Yeah.
in, understand what people really want, and then open their eyes to the opportunities that are
Yeah.
around,
Yeah,
right?
because I'm not going to give you investment advice and say, oh, I think you should invest in this thing or this stock or this wine company or whatever it is. I'm here to kind of open your mind to all the opportunities and help you to really understand, what you're good at, where you can start building the bridge, how you're going to get to your goals, and just seeing how we can build that together. And then again, I do think that you should have a power team. So you should have a financial advisor, and we can work on, how do you find the right financial advisor for you? Because there's so many out there, and you might have some, your friend is like, this guy's really great, I've used him, he's been awesome, but you don't get along with him at all, and you don't have a vibe, and he's got completely different ideas from you. So we can really work on, how do you build that power team? How do you get the right people involved? How do you get the right investments involved? And how do you build that so that you're getting exactly what you want, really, really in a bespoke way, to build up to your goals?
Yeah, I love that. And then have the impact and
Yeah,
measure that. Measure the impact, right? Which is something
exactly.
that you can do with them as well
Yeah,
as that power team's working on building that wealth. It's not just building the return on investment
yeah.
financially, but measuring that impact. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then yeah, and seeing where you can go with that. And another thing I do, so I work one-on-one with people, but I also work in kind of mastermind groups where we can then take it to another level, where we bounce those ideas off of each other. So we can say, what have you found, this month, and where are you really excited about investing, and how can we support that together if we're excited about that same kind of thing, or how can we add in another element to it, and just really build on that to make it even bigger. So not only can we make even more money, but we can just make that impact grow and grow and grow.
And celebrate together. I think one of the
Yes.
things that, those things are really important and they're obviously we want to make an impact and we want potency with the work that we're doing in the world. But there's also this element of you're creating this really beautiful community of very successful people who can safely celebrate together and enjoy the luxuries of life that they can afford.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And just feel comfortable and confident talking about it.
Mm. I love you, Jackie. You're amazing. What an
Thank you.
incredible, important thing that you're doing. And, you know, so, and you've got so much experience and so many runs on the board that, you know, it's not just, hey, I'm going to create this place for women to celebrate wealth, but you've done it and you're living that life.
Yeah.
And you are the, you know, the living epitome of someone who's having an impact on the world with their wealth and creating an extraordinarily transformative business for
Yeah.
yourself and life for your husband and yourself.
Yeah.
Tell me, just as a last question, would you mind telling me a little bit about what your big vision for your wealth is? What impact do you want to make on the world?
I want to, my big vision is I want to show women that they can make a big impact because I know I felt like I couldn't make that impact. Like I couldn't do anything. Like I didn't matter in the bigger scheme of things. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. And and I think it's just because that's we've been kind of taught that for just centuries and generations, and I want to start to break that cycle. So I want to be able to see and look out and be like, look at all of these women that are making an impact and changing the world and living their kind of true life and creating their legacy, and look at how they're impacting their daughters' lives and their granddaughters' lives and just passing this down for generations. I want to kind of sit back on my old age and be able to look at the masses and be like, wow, we really are absolutely amazing. And we've just changed the world with what we've done.
You already have, girl. And I mean, this is just the ripple effect is just
Yeah.
getting wider and wider. And I'm so thrilled to have passed this message on and hopefully lots of great women who are doing extraordinary things will now find you, reach out to you, get involved in your amazing Facebook group and book in to have a conversation with you about really understanding what impact they want to have. So where do people find you? How do people reach out to you?
Yes, I'd say the best place is my website is thejackiedwards.com, and Jackie is spelled all crazy, so I'm sure you can see that in
We'll
the
put the
comments.
link in. We'll put the
Yeah.
link in.
You can also link up with me on Facebook. I spend a lot of time on Facebook too because I can't help it. I've also got a kind of podcast and YouTube show called The Women Power. So that's a great thing to plug into. I interview lots of really great women and yeah, share lots of great tips on kind of how to work on your mindset around your investing.
So if people would like to join the Facebook group, they can find that on the website.
Yep.
And if they're interested in booking a blueprint with you, they can also do that through the website. So
Yep.
I
Exactly.
think you're right, it's probably the best place to go. But I would highly recommend connecting with Jackie on Facebook because some of the things that Jackie's doing with her money right now just is my children and I have a 14 and a 12-year-old, and they know exactly what's going on at Jackie's farm. It's like, oh, the alpacas are coming, and there's new animals that are coming
Cuddly
in all the
bunnies
time.
and all kinds of crazy poultry. So yeah.
It's so much fun. So connect with Jackie for goodness sake, and start to think of the business of money for yourself and how you're going to create a real legacy with that success that you've created for yourself. So, Jackie, thank you so much for your time today. You are truly extraordinary. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been super fun.